Controllers Council. My name is Neil Brown, Executive Director of the Controllers Council, and before I introduce our expert panelists and our partner sponsor, let me share some brief housekeeping items. We'll have a Q&A at the end of the presentation, so please use your GoToWebinar control panel to ask our experts questions. Next, this webinar is CPE eligible. We'll have 3 polling questions, so again, use your GoToWebinar control panel to answer each poll. And if not looking for CPE, answer to benchmark your peers. Please allow 1 week for CPE certificates. Also regarding CPE, there'll be a brief survey directly after the webcast today, so please complete that. And finally, answer to a frequent question, you'll receive a link to this webcast via email in the next 24 hours, so no need for notes or screenshots. So with that, a word about our partner and sponsor. Bill is a leader in financial automation software for small and mid-sized businesses. Learn more at bill.com. So I'm pleased to introduce our expert panelists. Eitan Anzenberg is Chief Data Scientist at Bill. He has a PhD in physics from Boston University and a BS in astrophysics from University of California, Santa Cruz. And Joe Flesher is Webinar Content Marketing Manager for Bill with more than 16 years experience, including CFO.com and Argyle. Gentlemen, welcome, and Joe, please take it away. Joe, you might be muted.
We're ready, and I'm so excited about our webinar today, and in particular, what we're going to cover. So when we go to the next slide, I'd like to summarize what we'll be covering during our webinar. First of all, the term artificial intelligence is such a broad term. We want to talk about not only what it is, but what it does specifically in the context of accounts payable. So what we'll also talk about is which accounts payable processes businesses can automate with artificial intelligence. In addition, we'll address questions that many of you may have about how AI can help businesses reduce risks, specifically those concerning human errors, and detect potentially fraudulent invoices. And then finally, we'll also consider how businesses can improve the efficiency of their overall finance operations using AI-enabled AP automation. And with that in mind, what I'd like to do is launch into our first question. And this is a question I think we need to pose. And what I want to do is start from the most specific definitions and then broaden those. In particular, I would like to talk about what we'll acknowledge later are subsets, subcategories of artificial intelligence, namely machine learning and deep learning. So, Eitan, so glad you could join us today. I'd like to hear your thoughts about how you would define machine learning and deep learning, and that'll help inform our definition of artificial intelligence. So, Eitan, what would you define as machine learning and deep learning?
Sure, yeah, thank you so much, Joe, for having me, and really excited for this opportunity. So I've been working with machine learning and data science for a number of years now throughout my career. And there are a lot of terms that have kind of morphed and changed over time. You know, what is data science? What is machine learning? What is deep learning? Or what is really artificial intelligence? And these terms have been around for decades. I mean, I think earliest time since the 50s or 60s for AI in particular. And the definitions have evolved in time. So currently, you know, kind of in the modern age, and now that AI is in the forefront of a lot of people's minds, it's good to think about, you know, how would we really categorize these types of techniques that how I would consider machine learning, or really learning from data. So machine learning is a technique that learns from data. We generally apply a machine learning algorithm on a data set that is, it trains on the data set. So particularly learns from the data, learns patterns, and generally from large amounts of data. And this is where really the advent of AI has exploded in the last 10 years, is in the compute expansion of compute processing, but also in the expansion of the data collection that's out there. These machine learning, techniques are data hungry. So it's used to train on the techniques to, make a machine learning model is to apply a large data set, and to train on that. Deep learning is a subset of machine learning. Deep learning particularly refers to neural networks, and these as well have been invented for decades ago, I think from the 80s so the late 80s, early 90s, as neural networks as algorithms that, in a sense, very simplistically mimic how a true neuron, so a neuron in a person's brain, for example, how it behaves in nature. These are very simplistic, very kind of what's borrowed from nature is very simple, but the algorithm is very advanced. So neural networks have really shown immense usefulness all the way up to where we're now talking about generative AI. These are algorithms that power very complex tasks in language processing. So understanding text or audio, and also in computer vision, so understanding what's in an image. If you've learned or heard about self-driving cars, they utilize this very similar artificial neural network technology. And so those are subset algorithms, deep learning, a subset of algorithms that are neural network based. And then artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence, we kind of consider as the broad umbrella of any intelligent algorithm. And there's no definitive definition. You might ask one AI expert, and they may consider generative AI as not being real AI, and you might speak to someone else, another AI expert, that considers more classical machine learning to be artificial intelligence. So there's not a true thought out definition. Some people conflate artificial intelligence with artificial general intelligence, which is more mimicking like a person's intelligence. But I like to really consider more broadly, AI really is the umbrella group, right, where we have machine learning, deep learning under it, and we likely also have advanced algorithms that aren't trained or are not machine learning based, but are still advanced enough to provide value and to provide usefulness.
Thank you very much, Eitan. And as we consider that, when we do talk about AI, and now that we've defined key subsets, namely machine learning and its subset, deep learning, we do want to make it clear that we're referring to using AI for very specific and in some cases complex tasks, correct? As we move to the next slide.
Exactly, yeah. And that is the real, I would, in my opinion, the real benefit and also the real drawback of modern AI systems is the benefit is they provide immense value in, let's call it maybe narrow ranges of use, but still immense value in those ranges. And then that's also the drawback, as we don't currently have a real AI that can encompass kind of the types of tasks that a person might endure on a day-to-day. AI is very useful in very specific tasks, and that's where we've used it, and I've used it in my career throughout many different applications and many different companies, and provided value to our end users, to our customers through those applications. But yes, in today's day, they are in a somewhat narrow range, and we can explore those here.
Thank you very much, Eitan. I think what we're ready to do now is pose, yeah, so, just to summarize before we pose our first of 3 polling questions, AI encompasses machine learning, which in turn encompasses deep learning. And we're going to talk about the application subset deep learning with regard to accounts payable. And in fact, this leads us to our first of 3